Let's look at ownership. Okay, so what do you, when you hear the word ownership, what comes to mind for you?
Yeah, taking responsibility.
Taking responsibility? Accountability. Nice. Acknowledgement. Mm-hmm. Good. Initiative. I like that. Very good. Nice. Exactly. Okay, so this is how I've defined it. To be authentic and transparent and accept your part and investment in it, whatever it is. Situation, conversation, relationship. Take 100% responsibility for your experience, thoughts, actions, and your next steps. 100%. Not 97. Like 100%. And there's something really super powerful about saying I'm 100% responsible for how I'm experiencing this situation. I have no control over what happens out there. I have no control over what you do or what you say or what the government does or what the weather does, but how I respond to it is 100% in my hands, which is very cool. So the challenge here in ownership is integrity. Integrity. So what do you think? How does that connect to ownership? Why would integrity be the challenge here?
Having consistency in your actions.
Nice. Having consistency in your actions.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yep. Having consistency, clarity, values, right? So when you take ownership that you are doing that in a very congruent way. Mm-hmm. Authenticity is being congruent inside and out. So if I'm going to take ownership of something, let's say that I have an argument with a friend and I recognize that I wasn't quite kind or I had made a mistake in my communication and I didn't give them the information they needed, and as a result of that there was a difficulty or what have you. To have the integrity to own all of myself and say, you know what, I screwed up. I didn't give you the information that you needed, and as a result of that you thought this, and now we're standing here. And I take full responsibility for that. And that's integrity. And that's 100% for my part of it. Now what you did with it, I have no control over. You with me on that? Yeah, any comments on that? I'm seeing some interesting expressions on your faces. Let's hear that. Let's hear what's going on behind those eyes and smiles. It's hard to do. It's hard to do. It takes practice. It takes practice. But I can tell you this, once you start doing it, it gets so much easier and you end up feeling so good because you're congruent. Because there's not a discrepancy between what you're doing out there and what you're feeling in here. It feels really good. It's like fresh air. Yes.
I think there's a big thing that's being asked of us here, and that's courage. This isn't just whether it's a hard thing or a thing we're just having to learn for the first time. It's asking us to be more present and fully who we are, just to take these steps.
Absolutely.
Courage.
Yeah, it does take courage. Very nicely said. Very nicely said. And I would actually even go one step farther than that and saying that I'm asking you to be fully alive. Right?
But that takes
Susan. And that does take courage. That does take courage. And I say something with tongue in cheek that most people above ground aren't actually alive. I'm sorry?
It builds trust.
It does
if
build
you're
trust.
authentic and you know, I believe, just be honest, you
Yes.
know, and this person will believe in you
Yeah.
next time. That's how I feel.
Yes.
At least at work.
Thank you for saying that. That's excellent. And I'll share something with you on that point. So I've practiced this, again, baby steps. I was not always this way because I was terrified most of my young adulthood for good reason. So I had to really practice how to be authentic and how to take ownership and be congruent inside and out. And what I found is that a lot of people react allergically to that. It feels threatening. It's like, oh my God, she's actually saying what nobody else is saying in here, right? She's actually saying what's inside of her, where most people don't do that. The interesting thing is the people that either react allergically to that or initially don't want it, as a rule, will circle back to me a month, a year, 10 years later and say, I know I can trust your opinion, or I know I can trust you. Would you tell me, or could I share with you? It's fascinating because there's that solidity that they recognize. Absolutely, it builds trust. Okay. And is it simple? Is it easy? No, but I got to tell you, it's much better than the alternative, right? Being alive is a very cool, it's cool beans. Okay. All right. So, my own personal experience. I had, I started having a lot of joint pain, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I went to every doctor. My mother has debilitating rheumatoid arthritis, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to be deformed. I'm going to have all these problems. Well, it turns out that the Lyme bacteria from ticks, you're supposed to have 35 or less on the blot, I think it's called a blot test or something like that, in your blood. And when I was tested, I had 587. So it turned out I actually had Lyme bacteria in my system. Now, I could have gone into a whole thing of, where did it come from and stupid ticks and oh my God. And I have to tell you, when you have pain, it's very difficult to take ownership because it hurts. And it's a lot easier to blame people, right? Or to just be the victim and poor me and what have you. So I had a choice to take ownership of this actual experience. And because I had so much pain, I stopped running. I used to run marathons. I stopped running and I gained 50 pounds. And everything hurt and I had brain fog. It was not fun. It was just not a fun time. So in that situation, to take ownership, I can tell you, was not a walk in the park. But I did. And so what I did was I knew I couldn't do it alone. I mean, I got that clear. So this is why clarity, right? So all of these things work together. I had to really get clear about the situation that I was in and look at the facts. And I was clear that you can't just get rid of bacteria on its own, not that easily, unless you're really a Sufi master, and I wasn't quite there yet. So I knew I needed to get help from a naturopath. I knew I needed to start exercising, and I needed to do my own internal work, which is what I did. And this is with my wonderful trainer, Will, and my 350th workout after I dropped 50 pounds. And and was able to actually gain my health back. And it was a long, long journey. So if we look at ownership, let's go through these again. Before I go through what I did, I'd like you to think about an area of your life where you have up to now not taken ownership. For whatever reasons, we're not going to judge it. There's no right or wrong here. But just think of an area that you would like to change or have a breakthrough in, transform, that you would like to take ownership of, or that you can recognize taking ownership would be a useful thing for you to do to get you where you want to go. So go ahead and make a note of that area. And again, this is my encouragement to you, is when you go home or when you have time after watching this, that you use these notes and you go through this and you do some of this work yourself to go through these different steps. Okay, so let's go ahead then and look at ownership and how I walked through those 4 areas under ownership. The first one was the intention was to be healthy. I just wanted to claim that for myself. The second thing was to have a belief that health was my nature. So trust me, when you have a lot of pain, you're overweight, you can't think straight, that wasn't an easy thing to know, right? But it just made sense to me that health would be my nature. And then the words that I used to myself and also outside, and it was certainly helpful to have other people saying, you can do this, but to say to myself, I can do this, to claim that and then to move into that. I have a prayer practice that I use. I exercised. I went to a naturopath who specializes in Lyme bacteria. So I actually took action and got help. Okay? So that's just one area, one example of how you can take ownership. Okay? All right. Then let's look at resolution.